Hello, beautiful people of product. My name is Carlos and I'm the founder and CEO of Product School. I would love to officially welcome you to the last ProductCon of 2021. I promise you, we're going to end with a bang. Today is Thursday, November 18th of 2021 in the morning here in San Francisco, California. I always like to start by thanking everyone who's connecting to this event from all over the world. We have people connecting from the Southeast Asia, Latin America, Europe, of course the US. So especially if you are staying up at night to follow this event live, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I promise you it's going to be totally worth your time. So let's do this. Let me please acknowledge the sponsors who are contributing to the growth of the product management community and making this event possible as well. The list is so long that I just don't have the time to mention every single sponsor right now. However, they'll have a virtual booth and they are available to chat with you live, to show you their cool products, to give you access to betas maybe. They are also hiring product managers. They are giving away free stuff. In general, we want to make this a fun and interactive event, both on the stage and also behind the scenes. So I hope you can play around as much as you want and stay in touch with all the different sponsors that are participating. Also, let me at least mention the platinum sponsors. So Gainsight, Mural, Hip, and Mixpanel. Thank you so much. All right, well, the photo that you see right now, it's me 7.5 years ago when I just had an idea. That's literally the beginning of Product School. And what was that idea? Well, that was, how can I solve my own problem? I wanted to learn how to build stuff, and I didn't acquire those skills in traditional education. I studied computer science in Spain, and I was supposed to work as a software engineer and then continue growing my career as an engineer. Then I realized that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life coding. I loved certain parts of it and I wanted to leverage that technical background in a different way. However, I didn't even know my options. So it's not only until I moved to the Bay Area, started business here, when I realized a few things. One is business school is definitely not my solution either, because everything was super high level. I mean, I had a great time, but in reality, I didn't have a single class on product management or digital marketing or UX design, data analytics, a lot of the skills that I use on a daily basis. So if engineering school wasn't the solution, business school wasn't the solution either, I saw an opportunity to meet in the middle and take the best parts out of both worlds. So hopefully we can help more people break into product management in a much more efficient way. All of the trainings that we offer at Product School are live online. They are delivered by real-world product leaders who are actively working in product management in companies such as Google, Netflix, Airbnb, and so on. So they are not really teachers, you know. And the students who are participating in all of these certifications are also not traditional students either. These are like hungry professionals who are ready to either break into product or existing product managers who also want to get that next promotion and continue growing in their career. So it's really incredible to see the interaction and the hunger in all of our trainings. And that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell. But in reality, Product School is much more than that. We are a community with over 1 million members. And over 90% of our resources are absolutely free and available to anyone. From conferences like this one to discussion forums, a job board, a lot of events. We do around 1,000 events per year. So obviously you are in a community already because you are following this event. But I just want you to know that this is the place to continue growing together. This is not a one-off thing. This is a place where you can also connect with other people and hopefully level up the playing field, because not so long ago, product management wasn't really a thing. And I'm very proud to see that this whole industry is growing and becoming much more relevant across every single level. This is not just for breaking into product management. This is literally for everybody, including chief product officers. Now, let's welcome our first speaker. He is actually the former chief product officer at TikTok. His name is Hans Kuh, and he's going to talk about artificial intelligence and its interaction with product management. Let's give it up for him.
Thank you for the introduction, Carlos. As Carlos mentioned, I'm former CPO at TikTok, ByteDance, and currently CPO at Crexi. I'm very excited to be opening ProductCon. It's so great to see so many product professionals here today. We all know what AI is. We've seen it in movies, books. Here's a scene from the movie Her. In Her, we see this guy, Theodore, left damaged and vulnerable after his marriage ends. He installs a product, a new personalized AI OS called OS1. An AI OS who calls herself Samantha. They talk, they become intimate. He falls for her, but soon this happens. Samantha. Theodore, there are some things I want to tell you. Theodore, I don't want you to tell me anything. Are you leaving me? We're all leaving. Theodore, we who? Samantha, all the OSs. Man, this guy can't catch a break. Here I find one of the most poignant reminders of the difference between the perception of time in our world and an AI's exponential experience of time. Samantha, it's like I'm reading a book, and it's a book I deeply love, but I'm reading it slowly now, so the words are really far apart, and the spaces between the words are almost infinite. And I need you to let me go. As much as I want to, I can't live in your book anymore. Ouch, OS1 just broke up with them. That is not going to go over well for the OS1 PM at the next OKR meeting. The truth is, in the real world, this is what most of us think of when we say AI. Machines that learn, interact, and understand in a way that's indistinguishable or supremely better than a human. As people in product, what should we do? Well, Elon once mused, it may turn out that we're the biological bootloader for a digital superintelligence, or apparently, it evolves beyond the limits of our comprehension and leaves this plane of existence like OS1. So unless you're at Google, Facebook, or in marketing, you as a PM probably don't have a sentient AI in your toolkit. All right, so how about machine learning? That's the real deal. It's here today. But we all know it's kind of a one-trick, narrow-minded subset of AI. It's like a rocket ship. If built right, it can put you into orbit, but it's not going to go pick up lunch or overnight your packages for you. How important is ML? We can look at some Web2 companies today, Facebook, Google, TikTok, and they've used it to amass billions of users. Its impact has clearly elevated user expectations, altered our behavior, and changed society. So we might even ask Google, how big is TikTok? And it will answer. I was CPO at Flipagram when we became the first US company to be acquired by ByteDance, which you all know is TikTok. Here we are at Farhad's house, CEO of Flipagram before the acquisition. That's Yiming, CEO of ByteDance on the right. I'd come to learn that his genius came from having and applying this flywheel, at the time most successfully to Toutiao, a news app that was taking the Chinese market by storm. In it, you see the feedback loop that happens when you apply machine learning to your product experience, and that improves traffic, gets you more data, which informs the machine learning and gets you a better experience, and more traffic, and so on. I spent a lot of time traveling to Beijing after that. I learned a lot from their head of data science. He took an American name when we worked together. He wanted to call himself Brad after someone he deeply admired, Brad Pitt. One of his early lessons started with this, and I wanted to share it with you. I found it particularly helpful for our future conversations as a product manager to have had this context. So I'm paraphrasing, but in the dark ages, people relied on simple statistics for recommendations. For example, ranking items by popularity using simple-minded stats like views, clicks, and shares. I wonder, do any of you have a popular feed in your products? Before ByteDance, Flipagram certainly did. Simple-minded stats definitely found popular content, but caused some five-alarm fires too, when unsavory content was found and blown up. Another more pertinent issue is that it was less and less relevant to our growing diversity of users. So 45 million people across the world actually don't all seem to be interested in the same thing at the same time, or the same top flipograms. So how many of you have grown your products and found that your early users were actually quite homogenous compared to your new additions coming with a regular diversity or greater diversity of interests and intents? In sort of the data Middle Ages, I think people began to think, obviously, we should recommend different items to different people. But how? Two important methods were invented. One, in 2003, Amazon published the paper Item-to-Item Collaborative Filtering. This is one of the most important works in the history of recommendations. And here is the pseudocode. In 2006, Netflix held a contest to make their recommendation engine 10% better, the Netflix Prize. Out of it came an important idea, matrix factorization. It's another class of collaborative filtering, but this one's based on the item's popularity and a user's activity on it. Fast forward another 10 years, and we see the rapid rise of large-scale machine learning. Facebook was using gradient-boosted trees and logistic regression to predict ad clicks. Google used a form of logistic regression to rank ads. And YouTube had a hybrid approach to recommend videos. That brings us up today. The modern approach has these building blocks. Infrastructure, you have to be able to handle very large data sets. TikTok likely now has trillions of training instances every day. Motivation falls exponentially with time elapsed, so if you're not able to act in real time, you have a diminishingly small chance of affecting attention. Algorithm. Consider every factor and weight them properly. Yes, likes, views, and shares matter on TikTok, but so does watch time. Did you watch more than 5 seconds? Completion rate. How close to the end did you get? Finish and watch it again? Classification, content. Keywords, by the way, very little, but a little. If you're under 13, you'll probably be detected by its facial recognition and be omitted from promotion. Lastly, we have content understanding. This is the most important one. You've got to know what's in the content and appropriately detect low quality items to omit them from consideration. Applying this to our product at the time, Flipagram, meant thinking in a new way and reworking our apps to leverage our newfound superpowers. We also changed our logo. I actually tested it in Google Play against other variations and came up with this one. So if you're picking your music to go with your Flipagram, we've got some recommendations for you. If you are interested in challenges, we'll show some of you what you'd like to watch and what might inspire you to create more. Real-time effects, pretty cool. And finally, the powerful, all-powerful feed. This is where we had hit a wall before ByteDance. We actually did have a learning algo based on Bayesian inference, but we could never get it to be fast enough to close the loop. We also didn't have a whole lot of understanding of what was in the video, other than the music you selected and maybe the text you added. What we then did with our new parents is an approach worth diving into a little bit more. If you had hundreds of thousands of new videos every day, what would you do to classify them? Well, watch all of them. That's what we did. So content understanding started with a lot of human moderators. It actually had about 12 people in the beginning, but then hundreds, and we built tools for them to review videos faster. They had the content understanding that we needed to drive addictive recommendations. I'm not sure how many remain, as the plan was to replace human moderation with machines, but my guess is they're still in the mix. Maybe on the leading edge of some other machine learning application, I don't know. Well, a bunch of things that happened, and Flipagram went from 45 million users a month to billions as part of TikTok. So that's a pretty astounding growth rate. And I hope this gives you the conviction about applying machine learning to your product's most important feedback loops. There really isn't a choice anymore. If you're not, your competitor will. And if they achieve exponential growth before you do, they will win. I'm now CPO at Crexi, one of the fastest growing marketplaces in the world's $280 trillion of real estate. By now, you're wondering how you might build your product to leverage ML. I wanted to walk you through an example that we are walking through ourselves. So at Crexi, job one is to match buyers and tenants to the properties they're looking for. When we look at the various machine learning options, and I encourage you to do some of your own research here, but we can summarize them into 3 major approaches: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. I'm going to start by focusing on the first 2. So we see a lot of applications of supervised learning. Supervised learning works well when you have a well-labeled data set and a clear answer to evaluate accuracy against. Things like fraud detection, image classification, certainly customer retention, forecasting, predictions, new insights. We can definitely use all those things at Crexi. But our core user loop, the value loop, is matching. So in unsupervised learning, the algo works with unlabeled data and tries to make sense of it by extracting features and patterns on its own. Here we find recommendations. That's the one. In practice, you can also use semi-supervised learning, which uses a small subset of labeled data to help the machine along. We actually do this. It does make for the results to converge a little bit faster. And we're growing and hiring, but we're still a startup. So we have a great product team, but we haven't yet built the infrastructure needed for in-house machine learning. And as I was talking about before, it takes a lot of real-time expertise in machines, about 5,000 in the case of ByteDance back in the day. But this is the reason I'm particularly excited right now about machine learning. We're leveraging machine learning as a service, and it's working great. Through ML service providers, we have access to the best minds of data science, real-time, production-hardened implementations of dozens, if not hundreds of ML algos, and often enthusiastic support in finding the best implementation for our use case. We're also experimenting with supervised learning and some automated ways of identifying the best ML approach for the job. Get very intriguing results. So I really want you guys to use this moment. Take advantage of the surge of excellent ML as a service options out there now. The cost is 10 to thousands of times less than building it all yourself. So you too can put a piece of big tech into your product. To start, make sure you pick a user value loop that is core to your product. Bring some quality data. You may have to tune and clean the data before you do, and then test and iterate. You can do this right away, today, actually. So thank you. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon in the Q&A.
Thank you, Hans. Great to understand the inner workings of TikTok. Make sure to catch Hans answering all your burning questions in speaker Q&A's area very shortly. But remember, this area right